Have you ever faced a moment when you felt like no one was there for you? When everything seemed to be falling apart, and you wished someone would just come to your rescue? What if I told you that in your worst moments, there might be no one coming to help? It's a harsh reality, but one that's essential to understand if you want to grow stronger. Imagine this. You're struggling with a problem at work, or maybe a personal issue, and you reach out to friends or family for support. But no one answers the call. They're busy with their own lives. The situation feels unbearable, but in the end, you realize that you are the only one who can truly help yourself. This is the reality we all must face at some point. We have to rely on our own strength. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we dive deep into life's important lessons. In today's video, we'll explore why it's crucial to accept that no one will always come to your rescue. If you want to understand why this realization can be empowering, keep watching. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So, please, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot. And don't forget to drop down your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from you. Let's face it, life will challenge you, and sometimes it will feel like the world is against you. But through the teachings of Buddhism, we can find strength and wisdom to stand on our own 2 feet. We are going to explore how, in your darkest moments, it is not the external world but your own inner resilience that will guide you through. The Buddhist teachings remind us that nothing in life is permanent, and this includes our suffering. When things go wrong, it's easy to feel abandoned. But this is where true personal growth happens. Accepting that no one will always come to help you is not a defeat. It's a lesson. The strength you need to overcome life's challenges lies within you. It's a concept that the Buddha often spoke about, the power of the mind, and the importance of self-reliance. So, let's take a journey together and uncover the wisdom that can help you grow stronger, more independent, and capable of handling whatever life throws your way. Are you ready to learn how to rely on yourself and transform your life? Let's begin. The nature of suffering, a core Buddhist perspective. Suffering is something that we all experience in life. It's unavoidable, part of the very fabric of existence. But what if we told you that suffering, while painful, is also a teacher? It's a force that pushes us to learn, to grow, and to transform. In this part, we'll explore how the Buddha viewed suffering and how understanding it can change the way you face challenges in life. First, let's take a step back and consider the nature of suffering. The Buddhist teachings, known as the Four Noble Truths, start with the simple but profound realization that life involves suffering. This suffering can take many forms: physical pain, emotional hardship, stress, and frustration. Even the happiest moments in life are temporary, and with them comes the inevitable fear of loss. This, too, is suffering. However, the Buddha doesn't present suffering as something to be avoided or feared. Instead, he invites us to understand it deeply, to face it without turning away, and through this understanding, to find freedom from it. The first step in breaking free from suffering is accepting that it is a natural part of life. Trying to escape it only makes it stronger. Think about it. When we resist pain, we often make it worse. The more we fight against a difficult situation, the more it can overwhelm us. The Buddha teaches us that suffering is like a fire. If we feed it with resistance, it grows larger. But if we stop feeding it, if we learn to let go of the resistance, the fire slowly burns out. Suffering, in this sense, is not something to escape, but something to understand and transform. The second of the Four Noble Truths points to the cause of suffering: craving and attachment. We suffer because we want things to be different than they are. We desire pleasure, we crave success, we long for approval, and we attach ourselves to people, objects, and ideas. When things change, or when we don't get what we want, suffering arises. This craving is what keeps us trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction, always chasing something outside of ourselves for happiness. But here's the powerful part. This craving is within our control. The Buddha taught that by recognizing our attachments and learning to release them, we can reduce and eventually eliminate suffering. This doesn't mean we stop enjoying life, but we stop letting our happiness depend on external things. When we let go of the need for constant pleasure, when we stop demanding things be a certain way, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Next, the Buddha offered a path to end suffering, which is known as the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the path of right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These 8 principles provide a guide for living a life that is not bound by suffering. They help us cultivate wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, all of which are essential in breaking the cycle of craving and attachment. Right understanding is the foundation. It involves seeing things as they truly are, without distortion. This means seeing that everything is impermanent, that relationships, possessions, and even our own thoughts and emotions are temporary. By understanding this truth, we begin to loosen our grip on them and stop relying on them for our happiness. Right intention follows. It means having the intention to act with kindness, compassion, and generosity. It means letting go of harmful thoughts and actions. When our intentions are pure, our actions follow, and this reduces the harm we cause ourselves and others. Right speech is about using words that are truthful, kind, and helpful. This doesn't just mean avoiding lying, but also avoiding speech that creates division, anger, or harm. Words can hurt deeply, and the Buddha encourages us to speak with intention and care. Right action is about behaving in ways that are ethical and compassionate. It's about acting with integrity, being mindful of how our actions affect others, and living in a way that reduces harm and creates harmony. This is where we can put our understanding of suffering into practice by making choices that are aligned with our deeper values. Right livelihood focuses on earning a living in a way that doesn't cause harm to others. Whether you're a teacher, a doctor, a farmer, or a businessman, your livelihood should not contribute to the suffering of others. It's about living with honesty and respect for all beings. Right effort is the practice of cultivating good qualities and reducing harmful ones. It involves making an effort to develop positive habits and to let go of the habits that keep us stuck in suffering. This includes mental habits like anger, jealousy, and greed, as well as unhealthy behaviors. Right mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment. It's about being fully aware of what's happening around us and within us, without judgment. Mindfulness helps us break free from the autopilot mode that leads to unconscious suffering. Finally, right concentration is the practice of developing focus and mental clarity. It involves training the mind to stay calm and steady, especially in the face of difficulty. When we are able to focus the mind, we are less likely to be swept away by emotions and desires that lead to suffering. The Buddha's path is not an escape from suffering, but a way to live with it wisely. It's about cultivating the inner strength to face pain without letting it define us. It's about understanding that suffering is not a punishment, but an opportunity to grow. When we stop seeing suffering as something to avoid and start seeing it as a teacher, we can embrace it as a part of life's natural flow. We can choose to learn from it and use it to deepen our understanding of who we are. In life, you will face suffering. There will be times when it feels overwhelming, when everything seems wrong, and when you feel completely alone. But the Buddhist teachings offer a path to freedom. By understanding the nature of suffering, by seeing it clearly, and by letting go of the attachments that fuel it, you can transform your experience. You can find peace amidst the chaos. Suffering is a reality, but it doesn't have to control you. It doesn't have to be your enemy. Through the Buddha's wisdom, we can learn to live with suffering, to navigate it with grace, and to rise above it with strength. The journey isn't easy, but it is worth it. Because in the end, it's not about avoiding suffering. It's about learning to live in harmony with it. Understanding the impermanence of life. Life is like a river. You cannot touch the same water twice, and just as the water keeps flowing, so does life. This truth is the foundation of understanding impermanence. Everything around us is changing constantly, from the smallest of moments to the grandest of experiences. Nothing stays the same, and nothing is meant to. The Buddha taught us that this is the way of life, and accepting this truth can lead to profound peace. Impermanence, in the Buddhist view, is not something to fear. It is simply the nature of existence. From the moment we are born, we begin to change. Our bodies, our thoughts, and our feelings all evolve. One day, what we hold dear may fade away, and new things will take their place. This natural cycle is both a gift and a challenge. When we resist change, we suffer. But when we embrace it, we find freedom. Think about a tree. It starts as a tiny seed, grows tall, and stands firm in the forest. Over time, the tree grows older. Its leaves change color and eventually fall. It might face a storm, and some branches may break off. Yet, the tree does not mourn its lost branches or resist the inevitable changes. It simply continues to grow, adapting to the new seasons. In many ways, this tree teaches us the beauty of impermanence. Similarly, our lives are filled with moments of growth, decay, and transformation. We experience joy, but we also face pain and hardship. The things we cherish may not always be there tomorrow. This idea may seem unsettling at first, but it is also liberating. Understanding that nothing lasts forever means that we do not have to hold on to things tightly. Instead, we can learn to let go. The Buddha emphasized that attachment leads to suffering. When we hold on too tightly to things, we are bound to feel the pain of their loss. Think of a child who has a favorite toy. The toy is everything to the child, and when it is lost, the child cries with all their heart. But the toy was always temporary. The child will eventually find new toys, new joys, and new experiences. Life works in much the same way. Let's consider a practical example from daily life. You may have a job that you love, a relationship that brings you happiness, or a place you call home. These things are part of your life, but they will not remain forever. People change, situations change, and life takes us down unexpected paths. If you hold on to the belief that your happiness is tied to these things, you will inevitably experience sorrow when they change or disappear. But if you accept that everything is impermanent, you can enjoy these things fully without fear of losing them. This understanding of impermanence helps us to stay grounded. When we are aware that change is inevitable, we learn to appreciate the present moment. We stop living in the past or worrying about the future. Instead, we become more connected to what is happening now. In Buddhism, this is called mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment. One of the greatest teachers of impermanence is the experience of loss. Loss teaches us that nothing is permanent. Whether it is the death of a loved one, the end of a chapter in our life, or the loss of something we hold dear, these moments force us to confront the truth of impermanence. While loss is painful, it is also a teacher. It shows us that we must let go of the things that are no longer with us, and make room for new experiences and opportunities. However, this doesn't mean that we should live without attachments. It simply means that we must hold things lightly. The Buddha taught that attachment to things is the root of suffering, not the things themselves. This doesn't mean you shouldn't love your family, your work, or your possessions. It means that we should not allow these things to define our happiness or sense of security. To truly understand impermanence, we must recognize that everything, even our own lives, will eventually change. We are born, we grow, we age, and we die. This is the natural cycle of life, and it applies to everything around us as well. The flowers bloom and wither, the sun rises and sets, the seasons change. Nothing stays the same. This constant change is what makes life so rich and full of possibility. It is the very nature of life to change. The Buddhist teachings on impermanence help us to let go of our attachment to the idea of permanence. When we realize that nothing is permanent, we can live with less fear of loss. We can learn to cherish the people and things in our lives without clinging to them desperately. We can embrace the flow of life, knowing that what we experience today may change tomorrow. And instead of feeling sorrow over change, we can celebrate the beauty of transformation. This is not to say that we should become indifferent to the things we love. Rather, we should learn to appreciate them more deeply, knowing that they will not last forever. We learn to live in harmony with the changing world around us, accepting that change is not something to resist but something to flow with. As we become more aware of impermanence, we begin to see life with a clearer perspective. We no longer fear change, because we know it is part of the natural order. We no longer fear loss, because we know that what we lose will make room for new things. We no longer fear the future, because we understand that it, too, will be a time of change and growth. In Buddhism, this awareness of impermanence is not just a philosophy but a practical guide for living. It encourages us to live fully in each moment, appreciating everything for what it is without clinging to it. It teaches us that our true happiness does not depend on external circumstances, but on our ability to adapt and accept the ever-changing flow of life. This lesson of impermanence is not just about accepting change, but about finding peace in it. When we understand that everything is temporary, we stop resisting what is happening. We learn to let go of our expectations and fears, and instead, we learn to trust in the flow of life. We become more flexible, more open, and more compassionate, not only with others but with ourselves as well. In conclusion, the Buddhist teachings on impermanence offer us the key to living a peaceful and meaningful life. When we accept that everything changes, we release the fear of losing what we love. We embrace life as it is, in all its beauty and fleeting moments. And in doing so, we discover that true happiness comes not from holding on, but from letting go and flowing with the current of life. Understanding the impermanence of life is the first step toward finding true freedom. It is not something to fear, but something to embrace. And when we embrace impermanence, we begin to see the beauty in every moment, knowing that it will never come again. So let go, and let life unfold as it will. The role of karma in shaping your reality. Imagine waking up one morning, and everything around you seems to be working perfectly. Your work is going well, relationships are flourishing, and even the weather is beautiful. Life feels like it's finally on your side. But then, the next day, something unexpected happens. A challenge arises, and you wonder why things have suddenly shifted. What changed? Did you deserve this? Why did things go wrong? These questions are common when life takes a turn, but the truth is, it's all connected to something deeply significant. Something that has been shaping your life for as long as you can remember. That something is karma. Karma is not a punishment or reward system, as it's often misunderstood. It's simply the law of cause and effect. Every action, thought, and intention you have sends ripples into the universe, creating consequences. Just like planting a seed in the ground. If you plant an apple seed, you don't expect oranges to grow, right? You expect apples. Similarly, your actions and thoughts plant seeds in your life. And what you sow is what you will reap. At first glance, karma might seem like a complex concept, but in reality, it's incredibly simple. Your life is a reflection of the choices you make. Whether it's your thoughts, your actions, or even the way you speak, everything has an impact. This is why the Buddha emphasized mindfulness. By being aware of your actions and their consequences, you can steer your life in the direction you desire. Let's break it down. Every moment of your life is filled with decisions. You might not realize it, but you're constantly making choices that affect your future. When you choose to act with kindness, generosity, and compassion, you are planting seeds for positive outcomes. But when you choose anger, greed, or hatred, you are creating conditions for negativity to return to you. Take, for example, a simple act of kindness. Maybe you helped a friend when they were struggling. You didn't expect anything in return, but weeks or months later, something wonderful happens unexpectedly. Perhaps you receive a promotion, or an opportunity arises that changes your life. The goodness you gave away came back to you in ways you didn't expect. This is karma in action. Though you may not see the direct connection right away, your actions will create the environment for future outcomes. But what if, instead of kindness, you act with frustration, or make decisions based on selfish desires? This too will eventually come back to you. Life might not immediately punish you, but slowly and surely, negative energy will begin to build up, and situations will unfold that challenge you. You might notice people becoming distant, where your own mind may become clouded with frustration. This is not a punishment, but the consequence of your actions. Karma isn't about what happens in a single moment. It's a long-term cycle. It's like planting a tree. The seed you plant today may not bear fruit immediately, but in time, it will grow, and its results will become clear. If you plant good seeds, you will eventually see the fruits of those actions. And if you plant negative seeds, you will face the consequences in the future. So, how does this relate to our earlier discussion about personal challenges? The Buddha taught that life is filled with suffering, but the suffering isn't random. It's often a result of our past actions, whether in this lifetime or even previous ones. This doesn't mean that every hardship is a direct punishment. It means that everything in life, our experiences, relationships, and even our emotions, are connected to the energy we've put out into the world. This understanding of karma brings freedom. Once you realize that you are the creator of your reality, it empowers you to make better choices. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. Instead, you are the master of your destiny. Every thought you have, every action you take, contributes to shaping the reality around you. By being mindful of your choices, you can steer your life toward greater peace and happiness. Buddhism teaches that through right actions, right speech, and right thought, you can cultivate good karma. This doesn't mean you need to be perfect. In fact, the path to enlightenment is filled with mistakes and lessons. The key is to learn from them, to adjust your actions, and to strive for greater mindfulness each day. The more mindful you are, the more positive karma you create. You see, karma isn't about living in fear of making mistakes. It's about understanding that your actions matter. When you act from a place of awareness and compassion, you create positive energy that can transform your life. And when you're mindful of your negative actions, you can work toward changing them, gradually shifting your energy for the better. This is why understanding karma is so important. It's not about controlling every moment, but about recognizing that you have the power to shape your own reality. You don't need to wait for someone to come and save you. Everything you need to change your life is already within you. By making conscious choices, you can create the conditions for a better life, filled with peace, happiness, and growth. And this understanding of karma also helps you understand the pain you face in life. It's not about blaming yourself for others. It's about seeing the connection between your actions and their outcomes. The Buddhist teachings on karma help us move beyond the idea of life being random or unfair. They offer us a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Your actions have consequences, and those consequences can be a source of growth, transformation, and wisdom. The beauty of karma is that it offers hope. No matter where you are in life, no matter what challenges you face, you can always create a better future through your actions. If you've made mistakes in the past, don't despair. Every moment is an opportunity to start fresh, to plant new seeds, and to change the course of your life. Karma isn't about punishment. It's about opportunity, the opportunity to learn, grow, and create a life that reflects the highest version of yourself. In the end, the key to understanding karma is realizing that it's not a force outside of you. It's within you. Your actions, intentions, and thoughts are what shape your reality. And when you begin to live with this understanding, you can make choices that lead you toward a more peaceful, harmonious, and fulfilling life. The law of karma empowers you to take control of your future, to stop waiting for someone else to make things right, and to become the creator of your own destiny. The illusion of dependence, breaking free from expectations. In life, there's an illusion we all fall into. The belief that others must help us, or that our happiness depends on someone or something outside of ourselves. This belief is deeply rooted in our culture, our upbringing, and our connections with people. We expect others to understand us, to support us, and to make us feel better when we are down. But this dependence is one of the most dangerous traps we can fall into. Why do we think like this? Why do we believe that we can't stand strong on our own without someone else holding us up? Well, it's because from the very beginning, we're taught to rely on others. As children, we rely on our parents for everything: food, safety, comfort, love. As we grow older, we continue to lean on others, whether it's friends, family, or even strangers. We live in a society that encourages this dependency. But when you truly start to examine your own life, you'll realize that these expectations often lead to disappointment. We wait for others to come through for us, but what happens when they don't? It hurts. We feel abandoned, neglected, misunderstood. We get upset because the person we depended on didn't meet our expectations. But here's the truth. This is not their fault. It's our fault for expecting something outside of ourselves to make us feel better. Buddhism teaches us an important lesson about this. External circumstances cannot provide lasting happiness. In fact, everything in life is temporary, including our relationships with others. People change, situations change, and even our own feelings change. If you base your happiness on anything outside of you, you are setting yourself up for suffering. Because no matter how much you depend on others, they can't always be there for you. And even if they are, it's only temporary. This doesn't mean that we should cut ourselves off from others or stop seeking support when we need it. It simply means that we need to stop expecting others to carry the weight of our happiness. True peace comes from within, not from anyone or anything else. Consider a tree. A tree is strong because its roots are deeply planted in the earth. No matter how hard the wind blows or how much rain falls, the tree stands firm because it draws its strength from its roots. If the tree relied on the wind, the rain, or the sun to remain standing, it would fall when the weather changes. In the same way, we must root ourselves in our own inner strength. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the practice of being aware of our thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. It's about observing our reactions to situations, understanding where they come from, and choosing how to respond. When you begin to practice mindfulness, you start to notice how often you rely on others for your peace of mind. When you realize this, you can begin to let go of that dependence and find your strength within. But it's not easy. Breaking free from the illusion of dependence requires patience and practice. It requires acknowledging that you have everything you need inside of you already. You have the power to make yourself happy, to find peace, and to stay strong, no matter what happens around you. The more you practice this mindset, the more you'll begin to see how much power you truly have. One way to start is by observing how you react when things don't go your way. Do you get angry or upset when someone doesn't meet your expectations? Do you feel helpless when things don't go according to plan? Notice these reactions without judgment. Understand that they come from your attachment to certain outcomes and your dependence on others for your happiness. With time, you'll learn to detach from these feelings, and instead of seeking help from others, you'll turn inward and find peace within yourself. Another important lesson in Buddhism is the practice of equanimity. Equanimity is the ability to remain calm and balanced, no matter what life throws your way. It's the understanding that everything in life is temporary: good times, bad times, joy, and sorrow. When you cultivate equanimity, you begin to see that there is no need to rely on others to make you feel better. You accept that everything, including your emotions, will pass. You learn to find stability within yourself, rather than depending on others for stability. So, how do we start breaking free from the illusion of dependence? First, we must recognize that we are already whole and complete, just as we are. We don't need anyone or anything to fill a void in our lives. Second, we must practice mindfulness to become aware of our thoughts and reactions. This awareness will help us notice when we are looking to others for approval or support. And third, we must cultivate equanimity, this balance of mind that allows us to stay calm and centered, regardless of what's going on around us. It's important to understand that this is not about isolating yourself from others. We are social beings, and we need connection and support. But the key is not to rely on others for your happiness or peace of mind. Instead, we should allow others to be a source of joy and support, but not the foundation of our well-being. When you let go of the expectation that others must always be there for you, you free yourself from the burden of disappointment and frustration. As you move forward on this journey, you'll begin to realize that the more you rely on yourself, the more powerful you become. You will start to trust yourself and your ability to navigate life's challenges. You'll learn to see that no matter what happens, you are never truly alone. You have everything you need within you. This is the true path to freedom. When you stop depending on others for your happiness, you open yourself up to a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. You begin to live life on your own terms, with confidence and strength. And that is when true transformation begins. The Buddhist teachings offer us a profound insight into the nature of dependence. He didn't say we should never ask for help. He didn't say we should isolate ourselves from others. What he did say is that our true strength lies within us, and that by recognizing this, we can break free from the cycle of attachment and suffering. We can live a life that is free from the constant need for validation and support from others. We can stand tall, just like the tree with its strong roots, unwavering in the face of life's challenges. And so, in breaking free from the illusion of dependence, we embrace the power of self-reliance. We understand that we are the architects of our own happiness, the masters of our own peace. We learn to trust ourselves and our ability to create the life we desire. And when we do, we discover a sense of freedom that is truly transformative. Inner strength. discovering your resilience. In our lives, we often face difficulties, obstacles, in moments when everything seems overwhelming. During such times, it can feel like we're carrying a weight too heavy to bear. But the truth is, each one of us has an incredible power within. The problem is, we often don't recognize it until we're forced to dig deep. Inner strength isn't something we're born with in the traditional sense. It's not a physical trait, nor is it something you can buy or find somewhere. It's something that is cultivated over time through experience, mindfulness, and personal growth. It's a quiet force that comes to life when we need it most. And the best part is, it's always there, waiting for us to notice it. The concept of inner strength is central to the teachings of Buddhism. In Buddhism, it's understood that all suffering comes from within. It's how we perceive our circumstances, how we respond to them, and how we allow them to shape our reality. In the same way, our greatest strengths also come from within. They don't depend on the external world or the people around us. They come from our ability to stay calm in the face of adversity, to maintain a clear mind, and to make wise choices when everything seems chaotic. This inner strength is the foundation of resilience. Resilience is not about avoiding pain or hardship. It's about how we deal with it. It's about rising after we fall, staying balanced after facing a storm, and knowing that no matter what happens, we can always find our way back to peace. The Buddha taught that our minds are like gardens. We can either cultivate weeds of negativity and despair, or we can choose to nurture seeds of strength, wisdom, and peace. One of the most important things to remember is that resilience doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending to be invincible. True resilience is about accepting your emotions, acknowledging your struggles, and then choosing to move forward anyway. It's about accepting that challenges will come, and that's okay. What matters is how you respond. The path to discovering your inner strength begins with self-awareness. This means being honest with yourself about where you are in life, what your weaknesses are, and what your true desires are. Self-awareness is not about judging yourself. It's about understanding yourself deeply. When you understand who you are, you can start to tap into your inner power and use it to face life's challenges. Many people feel powerless when they're faced with difficulties. They believe that they need someone else to save them, someone else to tell them what to do, or someone else to give them the answers. But the truth is, no one can truly save you but yourself. While others can offer advice, support, or guidance, the real power to change your life comes from within. This realization is both liberating and empowering. A key practice in Buddhism that helps us tap into our inner strength is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment or distraction. When we are mindful, we stop reacting automatically to the world around us, and instead, we respond from a place of clarity and strength. This doesn't mean that we won't feel fear, pain, or sadness, but it means that we can face those emotions without letting them control us. When you practice mindfulness, you learn to separate yourself from your thoughts and emotions. You realize that your feelings are not who you are. They are simply passing experiences. This understanding helps you build emotional resilience because you no longer identify with the pain you feel. You can feel sadness or frustration, but you don't allow it to define you. You remain steady, like a tree in the wind, swaying but not breaking. In addition to mindfulness, another powerful way to strengthen your inner resilience is through meditation. Meditation is a tool that allows you to calm your mind, clear away distractions, and focus on the present moment. It is in this space of quiet and stillness that you can connect with your true self. When your mind is calm and focused, you can access your inner strength more easily. You become more aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your true desires. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts, your feelings, or your circumstances. You are something deeper, something unshakable. Meditation also helps you gain perspective. In our fast-paced, modern world, it's easy to get caught up in the noise, the stress, and the constant rush. But when you meditate, you step away from that chaos and give yourself the space to breathe. You begin to see your problems from a different angle, and often, that's all it takes to find a solution. Meditation helps you to step back from the situation, to observe it without getting swept up in the emotional current, and to act from a place of clarity. Another important practice for developing inner strength is embracing impermanence. In Buddhism, one of the most fundamental teachings is the idea that everything in life is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever, not even our most difficult moments. This teaching can be incredibly powerful when you're going through tough times. When you understand that pain, like everything else, is temporary, it becomes easier to endure. You can tell yourself, "This too shall pass," and hold on to that truth even when it feels like the storm will never end. Embracing impermanence also means letting go of attachments. We tend to cling to things, people, experiences, possessions, because we believe that they define us. But in reality, nothing in this world truly belongs to us. When we learn to let go of our attachments, we free ourselves from the fear of losing them. We become more flexible, more adaptable, and better able to handle life's inevitable changes. Building inner strength also involves embracing failure. In our culture, failure is often seen as something to be avoided at all costs. But in truth, failure is one of the most valuable teachers. Every failure carries with it an important lesson. When you fail, you are given an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. The Buddha himself experienced many hardships in his life, but he didn't let those challenges stop him. Instead, he used them as stepping stones toward enlightenment. To cultivate your inner strength, you must first accept that challenges are an inevitable part of life. No one is exempt from hardship, but the key is not to avoid or fear challenges, but to face them with courage and wisdom. When you learn to face life's challenges with a strong, resilient mind, you become more capable of handling whatever comes your way. Finally, remember that inner strength doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean never making mistakes or never feeling weak. It means accepting your imperfections and learning from them. It means continuing to move forward, even when things are tough. It means trusting that, no matter what, you have the strength to overcome. The more you practice, the stronger you will become. When you discover your inner strength, you stop waiting for others to rescue you. You stop relying on external sources of validation or support. You become your own hero, and in doing so, you unlock the incredible power that lies within you. Life will still be difficult at times, but now, you'll know that no matter what happens, you have everything you need to navigate it. The strength you seek is already inside you. It always has been. The power of self-reliance in overcoming challenges. In life, you will face numerous challenges. There will be times when everything feels like it's crumbling around you, and the path ahead seems uncertain. In these moments, the temptation to look to others for help, for guidance, or for a solution will be strong. But if you truly want to grow, if you truly want to navigate through life's difficulties, there is one important lesson that you must learn: the power of self-reliance. Self-reliance doesn't mean that you never ask for help, but rather that you have the strength to stand on your own when help is not available. It means having the courage to face challenges head-on, trusting that you have the tools within you to navigate through life's storms. It means recognizing that while support from others is valuable, your own inner strength is the most reliable resource you can count on. At its core, self-reliance is about trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your abilities, and trust in the wisdom that you can learn from your experiences. The Buddha often taught that everything we need to live a peaceful and fulfilling life is already within us. We don't have to search for happiness outside of ourselves. It's not hidden in material possessions, in the approval of others, or in fleeting moments of pleasure. It is found within the calm and clarity of the mind, in the peace that comes from knowing who you truly are. When you trust yourself, you begin to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. Each difficulty you face is a chance to learn something new about yourself, to discover untapped strengths, and to deepen your understanding of the world around you. The Buddha's teachings remind us that suffering is an inevitable part of life, but it is through this suffering that we can develop wisdom and compassion. By learning to rely on ourselves, we are better able to face the pain and challenges life throws our way. There is a beautiful concept in Buddhism known as equanimity, the ability to remain calm and balanced in the face of adversity. This is a key element of self-reliance. When you cultivate equanimity, you learn to maintain inner peace even when the external world is chaotic. You stop reacting impulsively to situations, and instead, You respond with awareness and clarity. This kind of mental resilience is essential when dealing with life's challenges. But how can we cultivate this self-reliance in practical terms? The first step is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being present in the moment, paying attention to your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. When you are mindful, you can see situations clearly, without the distortion of fear, anger, or attachment. You can assess challenges objectively without getting swept away by emotional reactions. Mindfulness allows you to recognize your own strengths and weaknesses. It helps you understand that even in difficult situations, you have the ability to choose how you respond. Instead of blaming others or looking for external solutions, mindfulness helps you turn inward, asking yourself, what can I do to improve this situation? What lesson can I learn from this challenge? How can I grow through this experience? Another important practice that fosters self-reliance is meditation. Meditation allows you to calm the mind and connect with your deeper self. In meditation, you can observe your thoughts and emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Over time, this practice builds inner strength as you learn to detach from the constant fluctuations of the mind. You realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. This realization is powerful because it allows you to find peace even in the midst of difficulty. When faced with a challenge, whether it's personal, professional, or emotional, meditation provides the space to step back and respond wisely. It gives you the clarity to see that you are not helpless, that you have the inner resources to handle whatever comes your way. The more you practice self-awareness through mindfulness and meditation, the more confident you become in your ability to navigate life's difficulties. It's also important to understand that self-reliance doesn't mean you should avoid asking for help when needed. Self-reliance is not about isolation or pride. It's about having the inner strength to stand on your own, while also recognizing that collaboration and support can be valuable. Sometimes, relying on others can teach you new perspectives and offer you insights that you may not have considered. But the key is to never lose sight of your own power to handle challenges. In Buddhism, the concept of interdependence teaches us that while we are all connected, we still have the responsibility to take care of ourselves. We must be strong in our own right before we can fully support others. When you are self-reliant, you are better able to give, to help, and to share your strength with others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Therefore, the more you cultivate self-reliance, the more you have to offer the world around you. Self-reliance also means taking ownership of your choices and actions. It means understanding that you are the creator of your own life. While external circumstances may shape your environment, you are always in control of how you respond. This sense of personal responsibility is empowering because it shifts the focus away from external blame and towards internal action. Instead of waiting for others to change or for situations to improve, you take the reins of your life and move forward. As you develop self-reliance, you begin to see that you are never truly alone. Even when there are no people around to help, you have an unwavering sense of confidence in your own abilities. You understand that you have the inner resources to face whatever challenges life presents. This knowledge gives you the courage to move through life with a calm heart and a clear mind. The more you embrace self-reliance, the less you are affected by external conditions. You stop seeking validation from others and start trusting your own judgment. You become your own greatest supporter and protector. This inner strength allows you to remain calm in the face of adversity and to find solutions to problems that once seemed insurmountable. In the teachings of the Buddha, we find that wisdom, compassion, and courage are all rooted in self-reliance. When you trust yourself and stand firm in your own strength, you begin to see the world with clarity. You can respond to challenges with wisdom and compassion instead of fear or anger. You realize that everything you need to overcome difficulty is already within you. In conclusion, the power of self-reliance is one of the most valuable lessons you can learn in life. It empowers you to take control of your destiny, to face challenges with courage and clarity, and to navigate life's difficulties with grace. By cultivating mindfulness, meditation, and inner strength, you can build a foundation of self-reliance that will serve you in every aspect of your life. Remember, you are never truly alone. You have the power within you to overcome any challenge that comes your way. And that is the true strength of self-reliance. Mindfulness, a tool for navigating tough times. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain pours, and chaos is all around you. What do? Most people panic, trying to escape the storm, fighting it, or cursing it for happening. But what if I told you there's another way? Instead of resisting, you can stand still, feel the rain, listen to the wind, and observe the storm without letting it pull you away. This is the power of mindfulness, being fully present in the moment, no matter how difficult it is. Mindfulness is not some mystical or complicated practice. It's the simple act of paying attention to what is happening right now, without judgment. Most of the time, when we face tough situations, our minds either rush to the past, replaying everything that went wrong, or jump to the future, worrying about what might happen next. We rarely stay in the present. And yet, the present moment is the only place where we can find real peace and clarity. Think about it. When you're stressed or overwhelmed, what happens in your mind? It starts spinning stories. Why did this happen to me? Or, what if things get worse? This mental chatter often makes the situation feel much heavier than it actually is. Mindfulness teaches us to pause, take a breath, and bring our focus back to the here and now. It's like hitting the reset button on your thoughts. One of the simplest ways to practice mindfulness is through your breath. Right now, as you're listening to this, take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Did you notice how it felt? The rise and fall of your chest? The coolness of the air as you inhaled? That's mindfulness in action, focusing on the smallest details of the present moment. When you feel overwhelmed, returning to your breath can anchor you, like a rock in the middle of a river. But mindfulness is not just about breathing. It's about observing everything around you and within you. When you're angry, instead of reacting immediately, pause and notice how that anger feels. Is your heart racing? Are your shoulders tense? Acknowledge it without judgment. I'm feeling angry right now. This simple act of noticing can stop you from being swept away by your emotions. Buddhism teaches us that suffering comes from attachment, our clinging to how we think things should be. Mindfulness helps us see things as they are, not as we want them to be. For example, if you lose a job or face rejection, your mind might immediately label it as bad and spiral into negativity. But if you stay mindful, you might notice that this moment, while uncomfortable, is just a passing storm. It doesn't define your entire life. One of the most profound lessons of mindfulness is that everything is temporary. The Buddha often compared life to a river, always flowing, always changing. When we hold on to pain, resentment, or fear, we're like someone trying to hold water in their hands. It slips through, no matter how tightly we grip. Mindfulness helps us let go of this struggle and accept the flow of life. It's not about avoiding problems or pretending everything is fine. It's about facing reality with open eyes and a calm mind. If you're feeling sad, mindfulness doesn't try to push the sadness away. Instead, it encourages you to sit with it, observe it, and understand it. You might realize that beneath the sadness is a deeper need, maybe for connection, rest, or self-care. A great way to bring mindfulness into your daily life is through small, simple actions. When you eat, truly taste your food. Notice the flavors, the textures, the effort it took to prepare it. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet, the air on your skin. These moments might seem ordinary, but they have the power to transform how you experience life. Mindfulness also helps us deal with others. When someone says something hurtful, our first instinct might be to react, to defend ourselves, or to lash out. But if we're mindful, we can pause and ask ourselves, why am I reacting this way? What's really happening here? Often, we realize that the other person's words are a reflection of their own struggles, not ours. In tough times, mindfulness becomes a refuge. It doesn't solve all your problems, but it gives you the clarity and strength to face them. It reminds you that no matter how chaotic the world feels, there's always a still, quiet place within you. This inner calm allows you to respond to challenges with wisdom and grace, rather than being swept away by fear or frustration. It's important to remember that mindfulness is a practice, not a quick fix. You won't become perfectly calm overnight. But with time and consistency, you'll start to notice a shift. Moments that used to overwhelm you will feel more manageable. You'll become more aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions, and this awareness will guide you through life's storms. In the teachings of Buddhism, mindfulness is often compared to a lamp that lights up a dark room. When you're mindful, you see things clearly, the good, the bad, and everything in between. This clarity allows you to navigate even the toughest times with a sense of purpose and peace. So, the next time life feels overwhelming, remember this. You don't need to escape the storm. You don't need to fight it. All you need to do is stand still, breathe, and pay attention. The storm will pass, and you will remain stronger, wiser, and more grounded than before. Practical lessons from the Buddha's teachings. When life feels overwhelming, it's easy to forget that we have the ability to navigate through the storms. But the Buddha, through his timeless teachings, showed us the path to wisdom, peace, and inner strength. He didn't promise a life free from pain or hardship. Instead, he offered a way to deal with suffering in a more peaceful, understanding, and balanced way. Let's explore some of his most practical lessons that can guide us in overcoming life's challenges. The first and perhaps most important lesson the Buddha taught is that life is full of suffering. This might sound harsh, but it's the truth. We all face difficulties, whether they are physical, emotional, or mental. No one is immune. But Buddha didn't stop there. He also taught that suffering is a natural part of life, and it's something we can learn to manage, instead of something to escape from. The Buddha's Four Noble Truths serve as a guide to understanding suffering and how we can transcend it. The first truth is that suffering exists. This is something we cannot deny. From minor frustrations to the deep pain of loss, suffering touches every part of our lives. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, financial struggles, or even just the challenges of daily life, suffering comes in many forms. The Buddha didn't say we should avoid it or deny it. He said we need to understand it. The second truth is that suffering arises from attachment. We often believe that our happiness depends on things outside of us, a new car, a better job, or the approval of others. But Buddhist teachings remind us that these attachments to external things create suffering. When things change, as they inevitably will, we feel pain. The key is to realize that true peace comes not from things, but from within. This brings us to the third noble truth. Suffering can be overcome. It might feel impossible at times, especially when life feels heavy, but the Buddha showed us that it is possible to free ourselves from the grip of suffering. We do this by letting go of attachment, by practicing mindfulness, and by cultivating compassion for ourselves and others. The road to peace is not about avoiding pain, but about learning how to transform it. The fourth noble truth is the path to the end of suffering, often called the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is a practical guide for living a life that leads to freedom from suffering. It's not just a set of rules to follow. It's a way of life, a path that leads to wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. The Eightfold Path consists of right understanding, seeing the world as it truly is, understanding that everything is impermanent and that attachment leads to suffering, right intention, developing the intention to act with compassion and kindness, rather than out of selfish desires or harmful intentions. Right speech, speaking truthfully, kindly, and helpfully. Words have immense power, and choosing them wisely can create peace. Right action, acting ethically, in harmony with the well-being of all beings. Avoiding harm and seeking to act with integrity. Right livelihood, choosing a profession or way of life that does not cause harm to others and contributes positively to society. Right effort, putting in the effort to cultivate good qualities like patience, kindness, and mindfulness, while letting go of negative qualities like anger and jealousy. Right mindfulness, being present in each moment, aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. This practice helps you see clearly and make better decisions. Right concentration, developing deep focus through meditation. This helps to quiet the mind and find clarity in the midst of chaos. The Buddha emphasized that this path is not something we follow just once and forget about. It is a continual practice, something we return to daily. Life is filled with distractions and challenges, but by committing to this path, we can stay grounded and find peace amidst the storm. Another powerful teaching from the Buddha is about impermanence. Nothing in life stays the same. Relationships change, our bodies age, and even our thoughts and feelings are in constant flux. This might sound unsettling, but it's actually liberating. By recognizing impermanence, we free ourselves from clinging to things that are bound to change. Instead of resisting the flow of life, we learn to move with it. Mindfulness, as taught by the Buddha, is one of the most practical tools we can use to navigate the ups and downs of life. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present, without judgment, in each moment. When we are mindful, we can observe our thoughts, emotions, and reactions without becoming attached to them. This allows us to respond to life's challenges with clarity and wisdom, rather than reacting out of fear, anger, or confusion. But how do we practice mindfulness in everyday life? It's simple, yet profound. You start by focusing on the present moment, whether it's your breath, the sounds around you, or the sensations in your body. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the present. Over time, this practice helps you become more aware of your thoughts and emotions, allowing you to make conscious choices rather than being swept away by automatic reactions. Another lesson the Buddha teaches is compassion, not just for others, but for yourself as well. So often, we are our own harshest critics. When we make mistakes, we judge ourselves, feel guilty, or become discouraged. But Buddhist teachings remind us that compassion is key to healing. By showing kindness to ourselves, we can transform our suffering and grow stronger. Buddha also spoke about the importance of detachment. This doesn't mean that we stop caring about people or things. Rather, it means that we don't allow our happiness or peace to depend on them. Detachment allows us to engage with life fully, without being bound by it. We enjoy life's blessings, but we do not cling to them. When we let go of our attachments, we are free to experience life as it is, without fear or regret. Finally, the Buddha taught us the power of acceptance. Life will never be perfect. People will disappoint you. Things will go wrong. But instead of resisting or denying this reality, acceptance allows you to move through difficult times with grace. It doesn't mean you give up or resign yourself to suffering. It means that you face challenges head-on, without bitterness or resentment. Incorporating these teachings into our daily lives might not be easy, but with patience and practice, they can bring profound changes. By understanding suffering, practicing mindfulness, developing compassion, and following the Eightfold Path, we can move closer to the peace and freedom that the Buddha spoke about. Life will continue to test us, but the Buddhist teachings are a roadmap to navigate through those tests. It's about transforming pain into wisdom, suffering into strength, and fear into courage. As we walk the path, we discover that we are not alone. The wisdom of the Buddha is always with us, guiding us toward a life of freedom, peace, and true happiness. Conclusion: embracing your path to freedom. As we come to the final part of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed so far. We started by acknowledging that, in our worst moments, no one may come to our rescue. It's a tough truth to face, but also one that can set us free. Because in accepting this reality, we discover that the power to change our lives has always been within us. When we look at the Buddha's teachings, we see a path that's both clear and profound. He didn't promise an easy life. In fact, he acknowledged that life is filled with suffering, loss, and hardship. But what he did offer was a way to understand and navigate through these challenges with clarity and peace. His teachings are not just for monks or enlightened beings, but for every single one of us, living our daily lives with all its struggles and joys. The first step, as we discussed, is to recognize that suffering is part of life. We all experience it, but what we do with that suffering is what truly matters. Buddha taught us that the key to ending suffering is not in waiting for someone to come to save us, but in learning to save ourselves through mindfulness, compassion, and understanding. It's not about escaping pain, but about transforming it. As we embrace this concept, we start to realize that every challenge, every obstacle, is an opportunity to grow. When we rely on others to fix our problems, we remain dependent, weak, and uncertain. But when we turn inward and seek solutions from within, we become stronger and more resilient. The Buddha emphasized the importance of self-reliance. We must look within ourselves for the answers, because the wisdom we seek has always been there. But how do we do this in practical terms? It starts with mindfulness. Mindfulness allows us to be present in every moment, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we're mindful, We can see clearly. We can notice when we're falling into patterns of dependence or self-doubt. And we can choose, in that moment, to take action, whether it's through breathing, meditation, or simply taking a step back and observing our emotions. Mindfulness gives us the tools to regain control of our minds and lives. In addition to mindfulness, the practice of detachment is essential. Detachment doesn't mean we stop caring about others or the world around us. It means we stop being attached to outcomes. When we're attached to a specific result, we become anxious, frustrated, or disappointed when things don't go as planned. But when we detach from the need for things to be a certain way, we free ourselves from suffering. We can let go of our expectations and accept things as they are. This doesn't mean we stop striving for better things in life. It simply means that we stop relying on external factors to define our happiness. We learn to find contentment in the present moment, knowing that our happiness isn't dependent on others or circumstances. We are the creators of our own peace and joy. The Buddha also taught us the power of compassion. But here's the twist. Compassion begins with self-compassion. To be kind to others, we first have to be kind to ourselves. This is where self-reliance becomes a beautiful cycle. When we practice self-compassion, we become more grounded and less reactive. We stop looking for others to validate us or save us. We stop seeking approval and start living authentically, trusting that we are enough just as we are. One of the most powerful lessons Buddha offered was about the impermanence of life. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Our problems, our emotions, our challenges, they all come and go. If we understand this, we can let go of our attachment to them. This doesn't mean we ignore our feelings or pretend everything is fine. It means we understand that everything is temporary. Our suffering, our joy, and everything in between are just passing moments. And in those moments, we have the opportunity to practice equanimity, staying balanced no matter what life throws at us. Equanimity doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being able to experience emotions fully without letting them control us. It means accepting that life will bring ups and downs, but we remain steady and centered through it all. When we learn equanimity, we learn to handle life's challenges with grace and wisdom. As we move forward, remember that no one is coming to fix your problems. No one is coming to make your life perfect. But here's the good news. You don't need anyone to. You have everything within you to overcome whatever challenges lie ahead. The wisdom of the Buddha shows us that true freedom comes when we stop waiting for someone else to come to the rescue and start rescuing ourselves. This journey of self-reliance doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifelong process of growth and learning. But the more we practice mindfulness, detachment, self-compassion, and equanimity, the stronger we become. And as we grow stronger, we also grow kinder, more compassionate, and more understanding, not just of ourselves, but of the world around us. In the end, the path to freedom is not about avoiding difficulties or seeking a life without struggle. It's about learning to navigate through life with wisdom, patience, and a deep sense of inner peace. It's about embracing every moment, knowing that you are fully capable of handling whatever comes your way. So, as we close this chapter, I leave you with this thought. You are not alone in this journey, but the key to overcoming life's challenges lies within you. You have the power, the strength, and the wisdom to create the life you desire. Trust in yourself, rely on your inner strength, and walk your path with confidence. The Buddhist teachings are not just ancient wisdom. They are practical tools for creating a life of peace, happiness, and freedom. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Remember, no one will come to help you in your worst condition, but you don't need anyone to. You have everything within you to rise, to transform, and to thrive.